off board announcements by saying that the power invested in me by Marine Clean Energy, 4 counties, innumerable cities, thousands of ratepayers. I want to wish Dawn a happy Congratulations for surviving MCE another year. Okay, are there any other board announcements? Nothing else? Okay. Public open time. Are there any members of the public here tonight who wish to speak? Please.
Hi, I'm Stan Sparrow. I'm the electrician working on the Buck Institute solar project. Just trying to make a buck. And there's an interesting information for you guys, is that PG&E's new regulations have made a real hurdle or an obstacle for the electricians there. It's never been done before, where it's costing $750,000 extra for you because PG&E is changed the tariff to be 30 to 50% more if you're generating back to the grid. Wait, we understand net metering is you want to generate so that you can have a credit and use it at night. Well, not this one. PG&E's even putting on automatic disconnect switch, so if it generates, it will shut off. This is really challenging. It's never been done before. And so this is a detailed story here in the Solar Technicians and Green Tech Media, whoever wants to read the details on it. And it's quite a new thing, and it's for commercial. The A6 rate, they made an A10 rate. Here. And so this is quite controversial because the solar engineers at the Intersolar conference said that they could make 100% renewable energy in the nation in 2 years. But then when you have this, it's threatening to wipe out 3/4 of the commercial solar projects. Did I say 3/4? I mean 30% of the commercial solar projects. Don't quote me on the exact number anyways. So this is how PG&E is doing business for mid-sized businesses like schools and hospitals and the Buck Institute and larger institutions. And so, and with the PCIA on top of it. When I looked at my own bill for the last average for a year, I've been paying like $10 a month for the PCIA charge for last 3 years, so $120 a year. I would like to, get that back from PG&E because it's really not doing anything. And so one of the strategies I'm thinking is that since you went to the Paris conference, is to get a media coverage. There's a lot of investigative journalists working on the PG&E CPUC corruption. If you look it up, there's 23,000 complaints on when you look up the Google search with PG&E stuff. And it's even, you look up Edward Snowden and you got a whole page full of stuff with PG&E, Edward Snowden, and what's that, espionage? And so the, if a press coverage was made before your PCIA meeting, you need a little leverage because from the Secretary of State's website, PG&E is, put like, don't quote me on the numbers, but like $50 million towards politicians. Wow, not going here. So I'd really like the solar projects to be successful in the state, and so it may need to lead up to some legislation and you know, Kamala Harris, because they have that investigation going on in PG&E and the CPUC, and look up, well, what happened with this PCIA charges, and how the deadline for the ballot entry is on the January 28th, just in a week. Probably too late for it, but a municipality is allowed to put a ballot survey on there. It wouldn't be illegal because it's too late for the legals, but a ballot survey saying, as a ratepayer's right to choose renewable energy at a reasonable cost, something like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you give maybe the URLs to those articles to staff?
Yeah, who?
All right. Okay, thanks a lot. Anybody else in the public would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the report from the Chief Executive Officer.
Great, so just a couple of items. For the first time today, we are streaming the MCE meeting live. So you're all on camera. You may notice that we've got cameras mounted in the corners of the room here. So we don't have a physical camera in the room, but we have these remote cameras. And just to give you a feel for it, we actually have our cameraman is sitting in an office right over there. And he's got a few each to cameras, and he's going to be cutting back and forth depending on who's talking. And he's going to be streaming live right now. So just wanted y'all to be aware, we're really excited that we've been able to upgrade to this new type of technology. We'll make sure that you all have a link, so if there's ever a time you need to be absent, I'll be able to do the meeting or share the link with your alternate or anyone else who would be interested. Feel free to do that. We also are continuing to record the meetings and play them back on local media channels for schedules allow for it. We also, for those of you that don't know, we also have all of our meetings archived with both the recordings and the materials on our website. We need help locating those in our let us know. Okay, and the next item is on Tuesday, I want folks to know that the City of Napa voted unanimously adopting the ordinance and completing all of the steps to qualify for membership with MCE. So really excited about that. They're the fourth of the 5 cities in Napa to complete all the steps. And Yountville is expected to take action in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Do you have anything you want to add on that, Director Rogers?
They were very positive, the city council was, and I expect them to go quickly. They seem to be slow everything.
Maybe it's a little bit better. Okay. Last week, the San Francisco PUC signed power supply contracts to launch their CCA program beginning in May of this year. So this is big news. They actually signed power supply contracts last Wednesday. So we're really excited about this. Want to make sure that you all know so you can spread the word. Their program is called Clean Power SF. It features a green and a super green product. The super green is 100% renewable. They're going to start by serving 30 megawatts in May and then adding another 20 megawatts in August. And then they'll be phasing in additional customers in future phases. The fourth item I want to report on is that the Ad Hoc Rate Setting Committee has begun to discuss the proposed rates for our 2016-17 fiscal year. These will be presented along with the proposed budget at the February board meeting, and it looks like we will also be teeing these up for discussion at our executive committee meeting during the first week of February. And then the last thing, I wanted to let folks know we have hot apple cider in the energy efficiency room over there, and some snacks if anyone is needing something to eat or drink. And as a precursor to our next item, I just wanted to explain what we're looking at here. So In some of my one-on-one discussions with board members at the beginning of the year, it was suggested that it might be helpful to do a roundtable at the beginning of each year so that board members have an opportunity to introduce themselves briefly, say what jurisdiction they represent, and then maybe say one thing about themselves, what their professional focus is or their day job or a hobby, just so that our board members can know each other a little bit more. We do tend to have a bit of turnover from year to year. So just wanted to tee that up, and I don't have anything else for my report. That's it.
I don't know, this thing is... Okay. Okay, so I guess that explains what board introductions for 2016 is, the next item. Okay, thank you.
Booming voice.
Okay, so I guess so all the commissioners are going to introduce themselves, right? So why don't we start with Brad over there, and
I'm Brad Wagenknecht. I'm from Napa County, and I'm on the County Board of Supervisors. And I've been a teacher for 37 years, and I've been either a city councilman or a board of supervisor for the last 32.
Direction we're going.
You're getting it.
I'm it next. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Haroff. I'm on the City Council for the City of Larkspur, and I'm also this year's Vice Mayor for the City of Larkspur. My day job is being an environmental lawyer, and I'm the San Francisco managing partner of my law firm, Martin Law PLLC.
Hi, my name's Andrew McCullough. I'm starting year 5 of my, year 1 of my second term, year 5 of my tenure on the San Rafael City Council. I'm a lawyer. My day job for years, I was general counsel for Century Theaters, which meant that I was the beneficiary of a annual movie pass. I could see all the movies I wanted. Made me popular among all the children, including my own, but not so any longer. I work for Saifi Enterprises as its general counsel. Thanks.
Katie Rice, and I am the newly appointed alternate for the Board of Supervisors. I'm sitting here tonight in place of Kate Sears, who will be back for all the rest of your meetings this year. I am hopeful. But on that note, I want to say it's really a pleasure to be here. MCE is near and dear to my heart. My former boss, Hal Brown, actually was probably the guy that got MCE actually started. And so I've tracked on MCE for a long time, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm just really proud of the work that you guys have done and done on it, just amazing. So congratulations to all of you and your cities and beyond. And Brad and I know from sitting on the Air District that counties and cities up and down all throughout the Bay Area, and whether they're joining MCE or forming their own JPAs are following the lead that was set by MC. So anyway, great work.
Good evening, all. I'm Alan Schwartzman, and I'm in my 10th year on the Council of City of Benicia, following 6 years on the Planning Commission, and of course that's my night job. And then my day job, I'm in the mortgage banking field, so that's what I do during the day.
And my name is Henry Tiburon Town Council, and I have to say that one of my proudest votes I cast was for the formation of Marine Clean Energy, and I've served on the board for quite a while now.
Bob McCaskill, City of Belvedere, and I'm a retired CPA.
Sloan Bailey, Corte Madera. I'm a practicing attorney. By the way, this is Corte Madera's 100th anniversary.
whoa. There you go. Tom Buck, Mayor of Richmond for the past year. I'm in a 4-year term. I've been on city council 20 years. I still have a day job, but I'm an architect. It's been becoming increasingly hard to find time to do it, but I still work at it. And for fun, I raise goats.
I'm Denise Athos. I'm Mayor Pro Tem in the city of Novato, serving my 7th year on the council there. I think I've been 6 years on this board now, which I'm proud to have been reelected again to serve here another year. My day job is I'm an owner of Athos & Associates Real Estate in Novato, and I've been in the business for 27 years. Broker, have a whole bunch of designations and initials, so the business card just goes on and on. Just love being here.
Hi, I'm Barbara Kohler, and I'm with the town of Fairfax. My day job, I work for the California Air Pollution Control Officers Association. I'm the administrator of their greenhouse gas registry, and I also have many, many years of cleanup of hazardous waste sites and permitting of hazardous waste facilities.
Hi, my name is Ford Green. Stay far enough away from that thing. I sit on the San Anselmo Town Council. I'm a third term member there. I'm its current mayor. I'm a sole practitioner. I've been practicing law for 32 years, and my biggest claim to fame doing that was being runner-up for the Trial Lawyers for Public Justice National Award Trial Lawyer for the Year for having not only survived but been successful in extended scorched earth litigation against the Scientology organization.
I'm Carla Small. I'm currently in my 2nd term and Mayor Pro Tem of Ross. My early career prior to my family was spent many years with Marriott Corporation, although I have to say when I started they only had 20 hotels, and we knew Marriott Senior personally. So it was a great experience spending about 12 years with them and really seeing it grow. Then I spent about the next 20 years raising a family and being a very active unpaid volunteer in the community and fundraiser for several different organizations, including MD Anderson Hospital in Houston, Texas. And now I'm an unpaid office manager for my son's new business. So that's what keeps me busy. Thank you.
Greg Lyman, currently mayor of El Cerrito in my 2nd term, seeking re-election this coming November. Donations, welcome. By day, I do work for the City and County of San Francisco in the water department, as part of the San Francisco PUC, who includes water, power, and wastewater. So I do know several of the people who are in the power group. And what I do for them as a civil engineer, I do a heck of a lot of biology. I do habitat development for endangered species to mitigate for capital improvement projects like the Hetch Hetchy water delivery system that brings water to 2.6 million customers way south of here.
Good evening.
Sure.
My name is Genoveva Calloway. I'm representing the city of San Pablo. I've been there. I'm on beginning my 4th term. And my day job was a clinical social worker with the County of Contra Costa County, and I am now retired for the past 3 years. But I'm involved in a lot of projects in West County. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. That's a pretty heavy group here. A little heavier on lawyers than I'd like to see, but you gotta take what you get.
We love you too, Tom.
So next up, we have the consent calendar. Is there anything on here anybody'd like to pull off?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second from Sloan. So let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed?
I just have to abstain from the minutes.
Okay, I was going to ask, are there any abstentions? One. Okay, next we have formation of the 2016 Ad Hoc Contracts Committee. I understand you just finished meeting, right?
Actually, the meeting that just finished up was the rate setting committee, the ad
Oh,
hoc
okay.
rate setting committee. We're
Oh, that's
actually
right,
going
yeah.
to talk about establishing a new ad hoc committee, and Greg's gonna give us an overview of it.
So basically, each year as part of the open season and our longer-term contract procurement, we seek committee members to review and approve contracts for the longer term, 5 years and longer. So we expect to have a fairly significant year of contracting with our expansion of the light green program to a higher percentage of renewables over the next 5 years, and also filling our positions for the after Shell rolls off in 2018. So how many members are we looking for?
Well, we can have up to 7 members, but we need to be careful that we don't violate the Brown Act by having a quorum of any committee or a quorum of the board.
Is there any questions on the open season process, or I think most of us have been exposed to it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So is this established, or are we looking for volunteers?
Looking for volunteers to it.
We're looking for volunteers, we have one right here. I saw him raise his hand.
I do volunteer, but I do volunteer. Thank you, Tom. I actually wanted to ask a question, if you don't mind.
You can do that too.
Okay. Greg, can you remind me, how many times do we meet, and when is the deadline when it has to be done?
This year we'll probably have a little bit heavier schedule than the past. In the past, we had 1 or 2, maybe 3 meetings. We'll probably have 3 to 5 meetings this year for the ad hoc committee.
And I do in fact volunteer.
Okay. We need 6 more people.
Can I ask a question?
4? Yep. 2, Greg, 3,
Okay, so I just wanted to ask.
Kevin, 4.
Can I just ask a question, Tom? The question I had was, is it just dealing with the contracts, or is it making decisions about who to contract with? I wasn't clear from the staff report.
We generally go through the proposals we have. We'll kind of do an analysis on the different attributes we're looking for, and then we'll present those to the board, to the ad hoc committee, and then they'll make the final decision.
Okay, I guess my question is, I may be interested in volunteering, but I sort of get concerned about where we're headed on certain power purchases.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to know, does the committee make those decisions?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'd be interested in volunteering.
So Denise just pointed out that those who volunteered constitute more than a quorum of the executive committee. Is that a problem?
How many on the executive?
We have, and for reference in your packet, attached to the staff report is a list of who's on which committee. So I have Sloan and Ford.
And Kevin.
Okay, Kevin.
Greg.
But isn't that?
And those are all renewals of the previous one that was not in conflict.
So Greg is on the technical committee,
Correct.
so that isn't a conflict. Having the 3 from the executive committee is okay, but we cannot have 4. So
But we have 3, right?
Right.
So I have Kevin, Sloan, Ford, Greg, and Barbara as interested candidates. So far, we're okay on quorum issues. Or is there anyone I missed?
Are there others? Brad? Brad volunteered.
Great.
Is that enough
It's 6, right?
for now?
That is enough.
Okay, do we need a motion on this to
Yes.
accept these volunteers?
I'll move it.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
I've served on this committee, I think, for many years in a row. I didn't actually get it this time, but I tell you, it's a very fun committee. You get to learn a lot about the various power options, the pricing and whatnot. It's a really fun committee to sit and serve on, if you're interested in renewable power.
We do have room for one more.
For my 6th year in a row or something, 5th year in a row.
On institutional knowledge,
Actually, I'll do it.
Your value.
Here we go. It's better that more different people get on this committee than just.
Okay, I think we're in the middle of a vote. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Done, thank you. Okay, next item, budget adjustment for 2015-16.
David's going to introduce this item.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm David McNeil, Finance and Project Manager for MCE. I'm pleased present a budget amendment to the board. Budget amendments are not, the purpose of the budget amendment is to seek your approval for additional expenditures in the current fiscal year ending March 31st, 2016. Budget amendments are relatively common occurrences at MCE. We've already done one this year, earlier in the year, to pay down some debt, and so this is the second one we're bringing to your attention. If we're all on the right page, I'll summarize briefly the increase in expenditures that we're seeking authorization for. Personnel is the big one, $178,000, and that relates to some staffing costs and increases in the staff that weren't anticipated at the beginning of the year when the budget was approved. We have a few smaller items. Rolling down, we have an increase in capital outlay, which is related to leasehold improvements, and also an increase in debt service, which is related to increased costs associated with opening letters of credit that support our power purchase agreements. So all of those increases in costs total about $487,000, and they are on a budget of $39 million. So this is these are very small increases in total, and they're offset by lower expected energy costs, and so the net impact on the fund balance is zero. Any questions? Mike, would you like to add?
You might mention our expected revenues in terms of cost energy for the positive variance.
Yeah, we're expecting to finish the year with better than expected results due to higher revenues and lower expenses than expected. So that will when we finish the year and we close the books, that information will become public.
Okay, questions, comments? Sloan?
I'll make just one comment. This proposed amendment was discussed at the executive committee, and we went over it almost item for item. And my compliments to Dawn and her staff and everybody. Good job. You guys really did a great job putting everything together. In my own sense, this is eminently justified.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Rates update.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Gillespie. I'm a long-time consultant with the MCE, and I'm going to talk about the rate changes that went into effect as a result of PG&E's end of the year rate filing. So, start with the next slide. So, in terms of the process, at the end of each year, typically PG&E will file an advice letter very late in the year. In this case, it was December 30th. That consolidates all of the various rate changes that have been approved by the California Public Utilities Commission. That will go into effect on January 1st of the following year. So this year was no exception. Advance the slide. The bottom line of the various changes were increases in delivery rates, so charges for PG&E's transmission and distribution system. Those costs increased. The charges for generation decreased slightly, so customers who take generation service and delivery service from PG&E, the net impact of those changes was a 6% on average increase in their bill. For MCE customers and other customers who take delivery service from PG&E but don't take generation service, there's also the increase in the PCIA that I know you've all heard quite a bit about late last year. And the impact fact, with those increases, actually results in a higher increase for MCE customers due to the PG&E rate changes. And so on average, the rate change by PG&E on January 1st will translate into about an 11% increase in electric bills for MCE. Just an obvious point, I think MCE did not change its rates on January 1st, so all of these impacts are the result of PG&E rate changes. The table here kind of breaks these changes down by the different component of the bill and shows the impacts, how it impacts a PG&E bundle customer versus an MCE customer. And PG&E's generation rates on average actually went down about 5%. The delivery charges increased about 12%. These are all from prior year levels. And so the total bill for PG&E customers went up about 6%, as I said. For MCE customers, the delivery charges went up that same 12%. The PCIA went up significantly, and I know you're aware of that. On average, for all of our customers, it's about a 78% increase in that particular component of the bill. So if you put all of that together, it's about an 11% increase in our customers' costs. Go to the next one, please. This is a representation of where does the customers' dollars go. So this is projected for the fiscal year beginning April 1st of this year and ending March 31st of 2017. We are projecting about, for every dollar of a customer's electric bill, 43 cents of that goes to MCE for the renewable energy and the generation services that MCE provides to this program. About 46 cents of every dollar goes to PG&E for delivery, transmission, distribution, other delivery services that they provide as the local distribution utility. And about 11 cents of every dollar goes to the PCIA. In aggregate, we're projecting that will total about $36 million of our customers. It will cost, the PCIA will cost our customers about $36 million in the coming fiscal year. Next one, please. So then the question is, how do MCE's rates compare with PG&E's as we're here today? So as of now, as of January, comparing MCE's generation rates and cost to PG&E's, MCE's generation rates are lower. On average, MCE's generation rates are about 14% lower than what PG&E charges for generation services. Now, this does not account for the PCIA. So this isn't the bottom line, but I think it's important to keep this in mind that by one measure, by how we compare to PG&E's cost structure, MCE is relatively low cost and doing a good job with managing its rates. And if it were for the PCIA, could be saving customers $23 million in the coming year. Of course, everybody wants to know what's the bottom line impact to customers. For that, we need to advance to the next slide. Now we bring in the transmission, the delivery charges. So we'll compare MCE's total delivery cost to the customer. So that'll include MCE's generation charges, PG&E's delivery charges, and PCIA. And compare that to what customers would pay as a PG&E customer. Did you have a question?
What's the COM 10 typical structure?
COM 10 would be, say, a bank, that type of a customer size. Maybe what else would be a good example of that? A supermarket would be a little bigger than that, so something smaller than that. But just it's generally considered a size type of a customer. Maybe a restaurant, that would be another good example of a COM 10.
Other questions? Well, I've got one. So the two categories in there that are net zero, COM 6 and SL1.
That's the street lighting. So COM 6 is a small commercial, so that might be like a strip mall, type of a business. And this is all in cost comparison, and some of the differences are because of the way that the PCIA is allocated to these different groups by PG&E's rate design. Streetlights, for instance, just because of the way that the PCIA is allocated to different customer groups, it's done based on the contribution to peak demand. And streetlights are all nighttime use, so their contribution to peak demand is very, very low. As a consequence, the PCIA paid by streetlight customers is very, very low. The opposite for residential customers. So a lot of these cost impacts or differences among the different groups as a result of how that PCIA is allocated to various customer classes. But bottom line, with the increase in the PCIA and the delivery charges, cost for MC customers are about 4% above what they would be with PG&E as we stand today. So that's the magnitude of the impact.
Okay, this is not an action item, but are there any more questions or comments?
Actually, a couple more.
Two more. Yeah, two more.
You will not take our
So this chart provides a little bit of historical context in regards to MCE's competitiveness in terms of MCE rates versus PG&E. And this is an example of average monthly bills for a typical residential customer over the years. So since 2010, when MCE launched, MCE had rates that were exactly at parity with the PG&E, inclusive of the PCIAs that existed at that time. So the way to look at this chart is the line in the graphic that represents what the customer would pay if they're a PG&E customer, and then the top of the bars are what customers pay as an MCE customer. The green is MCE charges, the blue is PG&E delivery charges, and the orange on top is the PCIA surcharge. So you can see that over time, MCE rates have fallen within what we would consider a competitive zone, a competitive range. Sometimes a little above, sometimes a little below. The point in time where the costs were the highest was 2011. We've been fortunate the last couple of years to actually have lower costs despite a higher renewable energy content. But now with the increased PCIA, we're back at a little bit higher. Still, I think we would consider the rate comparison still competitive, however. And then switching gears just a little bit here, another relevant rate change coming out of PG&E is in regards to residential time of use rates. And there's been a lot of work in this area recently of taking another look at when the peak period really ought to be in regards to sort of sending the right price signal to customers about when to use energy and when to conserve energy, and how that aligns with conditioning on the electric system as a whole. And what folks are finding is that the old traditional peak definition of sort of noon to 6 summer months is less and less applicable. And the peak is actually shifting. And some of that is due to all the solar coming on the system, both rooftop solar as well as large-scale wholesale type solar projects that are generating the bulk of their energy during those daylight hours. And so partially as a result or a consequence of this, the PG&E has proposed,
Hello?
Okay.
I think you're on, just angle it towards you.
I'll try and speak into it a little bit here. Are we good?
Pull it out.
How's this? Okay, so PG&E has proposed to eliminate a couple of their residential time of use schedules, the E7 rate, and move those customers onto newly adopted schedules that have a peak period that is shifted later in the day and shortened by an hour, and also a summer season that is shortened from 6 months to 4 months. As I said, the existing E7, customers on the E7 rate will be transferred to these new time of use rates. This will be effective in March. We plan, as staff here, we feel it's important that that MCE offer a comparable schedule so that when a customer is taking delivery service on the new ETOU schedules, that we have a generation service schedule that aligns with those time of use periods. And so we anticipate in February bringing comparable time of use rate options to the board for approval to be effective in March to ensure that there's a sort of seamless transition for these customers. This has kind of generated a little bit of controversy because these shifts in the peak period and the shorter summer period tend to make rooftop solar less attractive, less valuable to the consumer, to the net energy metering consumer. So there's been a fair amount of discussion on that. Some of the existing time of use schedules are actually going to be grandfathered and kept open for a period of 5 years. So the E6 schedule will be remain open, and we have a comparable, MCE has a comparable schedule, which is Res 6. The E7, however, and the E8 and the E9, those are going away. So just kind of a heads up on that. We'll be talking about this again in February. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, questions, comments?
I'll take a stab. So I'm looking at the cost comparisons, and there's a substantial difference in the cost comparison between what it costs us and what it costs PG&E. We're 23 million or so less expensive. That's for generation. What's not broken out exactly, or at least that I was able to glean and make well be there, is that so then PG&E fairly gets compensated for using its infrastructure to deliver our cheaper energy. What I'm trying to conceptually get my head around is where the PCIA falls in that. So we have generation costs, we have distribution costs, and then the PCIA costs are kind of like they're basically it's an award of money to PG&E because our customers aren't theirs anymore, and it's supposed to compensate PG&E for having committed to paying the cost of energy and then losing the customer, and so then the PCIA is supposed to balance them out, right?
That's correct. In theory, it is so that remaining PG&E customers don't see rate increases as a result of PG&E losing customers to CCAs.
Right. And so the way that all of that seems to be used, or what the result is, what the end game is that the costs for all of our customers are going increasingly up. That's resulting in it being more difficult for us to compete with PG&E in the rate department, right?
That's great. I mean, sometimes we think of it, in golf, you have the handicap system, which
right.
If you're a better golfer, you sort of get penalized, right? And so in that sense, it makes it hard to compete or to gain a competitive advantage, even if we can buy power cheaper, which we do. We're 14% cheaper, but then this sort of tax or whatever you want to call it is tacked onto that to make it either closer to parity,
right,
or in this case, a little bit higher.
And they're the bigger, better golfer.
You would think, but we're doing better.
Yeah, okay. So it's just, thank you for breaking that stuff out, because I don't think that we can be educated too much about the vagaries and the consequences and the and how the PCIA factors into this endeavor that we're seeking to perform in terms of providing clean energy at a competitive, if not a cheaper rate. And so that stuff obviously is making our job and our mission much more difficult.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to ask a question about the E7 rate changes and the disincentive or the less attractive for new net metering customers. Is that true for all customers? PG&E's net metering customers are going to be have the same disincentive as our customers?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. On Ford's questions around the PCIA, so if I understood you correctly, the PCIA is helping to backfill on some probably efficiencies or something that PG&E loses as it loses customers, so that it's not having to charge its remaining customers to compensate. What's the forecast for the PCIA going forward as PG&E ostensibly loses more and more customers to CCA?
That's a fantastic question, and we have made our best attempts to forecast what the PCIA would be, reasonable expectations of the PCIA going forward. There's a real lack of data availability. PG&E maintains really the critical data that you need to make an accurate forecast. They claim it's confidential, and so they just don't release it to MCE or anybody that's consulting to MCE. There's, as a result of a lot of participation in the regulatory process late last year, the Commission has established a workshop in March focused on the PCIA, and data availability is one of the key issues in transparency generally. MCE has put in a data request to PG&E for that very information, a projection. How long does PG&E think this charge will go on, and at what levels? So far, my understanding is they haven't responded to that, or they're still claiming, I believe, confidentiality, but we're hoping through this workshop process to get a lot better insight. Our own projections are it's not going down anytime soon. We think it's reasonable to assume it'll stay at this level for the foreseeable future.
One add-on to that good comment is just that while PG&E isn't providing us with the amount of the PCIA going forward, they have responded to our data request asking when they expect it will terminate. And depending on the vintage, we're in the ballpark of 2045.
What?
For 2010 vintages, they're looking at 2043.
Are there variable rates for different CCAs that are, say, for example, Clean Power SF is just getting off the ground. We've been running since 2010.
There's different vintages. So depending on when the customer actually departs the PG&E system, there's a different charge. It's not specific to a CCA. So for instance, MCE has some 2010 vintages, the original phase one, and we have some more recent vintages. So any customer that leaves PG&E in the same year would get that same charge, regardless of the program that they're participating in.
Is it go to form that the older vintages have a lower PCIA or the opposite?
They are, they're all pretty similar, and we only have, 5-6 years of vintages. And the very earliest vintages actually start to come down just a little bit, but it's marginal in terms of the differences among the different vintages.
So my question is, on your chart with the generation rate cost comparisons and then going down to the electric cost comparisons, how much of that $12 million difference is PCIA versus just the PG&E infrastructure? I think it's kind of...
we go back to slide 4, that pie chart. So 37, almost, looks like $36 million.
I'm not sure where you're looking.
It's on the screen here.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm not asking that from your charts that are comparing the different costs. What I'm asking is, of that nearly $12 million that you have in that chart, how much of that is PCIA money versus, I mean, I don't know how to do that from this pie
So
chart.
it's all of it and then some. So it's, the PCIA is $36 million. So if it, I guess.
I guess I'm just looking at the differential. So I think, for my purposes, it would be interesting to know how much of that differential that we're paying, the 4% more, is represented by just their infrastructure costs that I think is fair that we pay that, and the PCIA, which we don't think is fair.
It's all of it is due to the PCIA.
All of it?
All of it.
Okay.
And then some.
Okay.
Everyone's paying the same.
The one right before
The
this.
answer is that everyone's paying the same on the generation charges.
Right. It's not that confusing.
Slide 2.
It's all right.
We hit everyone but the word three. There. Okay. Right, so I think the point of this table is that those infrastructure charges, those don't disadvantage us because the rates are the same, right?
Right.
If you're a bundled customer or a CCI customer. So the only charge really that works to our disadvantage is the PCIA. So what I'm saying is, if it were not for the PCIA, our customers would actually be saving almost $24 million. Because of the PCIA, which is $36 million, our customers are paying $12 million extra, right?
Okay.
So it's the $12 million plus another, $24 million. That's all a result of the PCIA.
Okay, thank you.
So just to clarify, a customer that came in 2010, PG&E is saying that they purchased power for them 33 years out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that we're in a position, but for groups that can really promote what's being done out there, I think that terminology and the PCIA charge projection of over 36 million alone, those are the figures to focus on. That's what makes sense to people. Just really simple, and I don't know what we can, where we fall, because I know we have to be sensitive as to what we do, but for other groups out there, that is, to tell someone you're going to pay because we bought in your name for 33 years out, when I've seen articles since 2010 where PG&E had to buy more power because they didn't have enough, is just ludicrous. So, I mean, it's just, anybody can understand that, and those are the things that I think we have to focus on. Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Kevin?
Simple.
Just one quick comment on it. I mean, I've been on a couple of committees where we've talked about the PCIA, and we've had the PCIA be part of the overall discussion within this board since I joined it 2 years ago. This is the critical issue for this organization going forward into the future. It is having a disparate adverse impact on our customer base that puts us in a non-competitive position, and that's an intolerable situation. We have an opportunity with a workshop that's coming up in February. I don't know that we have a date for that yet at this point.
It's March now.
Is it March
I think
now?
there's a date, but I don't know about that.
Is it March 8th? And that is currently the single best opportunity we have as an organization to address this issue on behalf of our customers. And I hope we convey that message back to our respective constituents in our respective jurisdictions, and get the kind of support we got from the public in connection with the last CPUC hearing. But this is even actually much more important than that in some respects, because the issues are broader ranging. We've had opportunities and are continuing to have opportunities to engage with individual commissioners on the CPUC. I was very pleased to have an opportunity to participate in one of those meetings yesterday. I think it's educational for those commissioners, because it was striking to me that although these are smart and sophisticated people, they don't have a good sense of the impact that this is having on our customers. So our engagement with the CPUC, with the individual commissioners, and with the public is critical, I think, to frankly, the survival of this organization and other CCAs into this future. It is the single biggest issue confronting us as an organization.
Well, we've talked about this before, but in addition to the upcoming workshop, some of us have had discussions with our state legislators, and there is a core of them who are interested in looking at some kind of a legislative remedy to this. And I guess, this is kind of speculative, but I mean, at the end of the day, there might be a legal remedy to it also. So I think the idea is, let's see how this thing in March plays out, and if it gives us some relief, that might be good enough. If it doesn't, or even if it does give some, then looking at legislative and legal remedies, and we wouldn't be alone. We share this with all of the other with the other existing CCAs, along with all the people who are looking at getting into the CCA business. So, anything else on this item? This is good information to have. I'm glad we finally cooked up the numbers and we know where we stand, at least for the time being. Okay, next item is the energy efficiency update. Good news, I hope.
Me too. All right, so I've been watching this unfold from my office, so my consciousness of proximity to Mike is very in tune. Let me know if it gets a little crazy. I have to hold on to it, I'm a little short. Great, so I'm really pleased to be up here tonight to talk about the energy efficiency update. I was reflecting in my office about 3 years ago how I used to come up before the board for the energy efficiency update and have, with some trepidation, some somewhat modest results to report upon, and just trying to put a good face on and think about, oh, we're going to be doing so much better soon. And so happy to be here today because the time has arrived. So just a little bit about what we're going to discuss. I wanted to review briefly our 2015 program results, those that we have together and compiled, and then also just give a really quick update on where we're at with our 2016 application. Hopefully I can just go right through this. So this is a slide that I've actually stolen. It's one of the ones that we're presenting to the commissioners when we go to these commissioner meetings for meet and greets. And I just think there are a few, it's an exciting slide. It's got a lot of really big numbers on it, really impressive numbers, I think. But some of the things I wanted to specifically highlight, in the lighter green there, the fact that we've had actually a 7.5-fold increase in savings in 3 years. So I'll show you again on those next slides, those traditional sort of monthly results that I show. But our rate of increase in this program has been phenomenal. And the ability to go from a brand new program to a program that has exceeded its targets has just been a really great experience to be a part of. Energy efficiency program update. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that rate of change. You can see the really steep trajectories that we've seen, especially in these last couple of months. If we could actually go to the next slide, one of the things I always talk about with the multifamily program is how what we see is a lot of projects that take a long time, and then all of a sudden all the projects happen and we see a huge increase in savings. And this last November and December, Megan has just been cranking on the multifamily program. She closed all of the projects that we had this year within a month. Some really significant projects like 280 unit properties that we've done comprehensive upgrades on. My biggest rebate that we dispersed, something around the neighborhood of $280,000, which is super exciting to be able to really contribute towards $1 million project. And it's just been, again, as I mentioned, we actually exceeded our targets in the multifamily program, so it's been a really exciting time. One other thing about the multifamily program, I think I've mentioned before, and you'll see on the next slide, that our commercial program often drags down the savings for the therm side of things because we get a lot of lighting upgrades in the commercial program, but inefficient lighting creates heat. And when you remove inefficient lighting, sometimes you have to compensate with increased heat, which results in negative therm savings, actually increased usage of natural gas. While our multifamily program has done so well on the therms that we actually achieved our therms targets across our portfolio, even though the commercial program is bringing negative savings to the table. So that's really exciting for us on a portfolio level. Again, our small, if we could stay back on the small commercial program, keeping me going, I like it. So the thing I'd really like to point out about the small commercial program, again, is just that really consistent and really impressive amount of savings that we've been able to achieve there. Again, another program where we exceeded our targets and exceeded our cost effectiveness. In this, our multifamily program is pretty consistent statewide with the cost effectiveness that you would expect to see. But this one achieves over a 1.0 TRC, total resource cost ratio, which is really good news for us. That's a really good metric that we're going to be excited to tout when we get out and talk about how good we are as administrators. So now we can move to the next slide. The single family program update, as I think many of you recall, we actually closed our home utility report program after finding that it wasn't producing any savings. And we just decided to redirect that money towards some of the other programs that were doing really well. However, we have our web presence there, and it's been impressive that since we launched this program, almost 2,000 folks throughout our service territory have actually taken the initiative to go log on to that web portal and develop a customized individual action plan for how to save energy at their own home. So even just having the tool there has really proved to be a resource, and we're excited about that engagement. Also, I'm really proud to talk about the Energy Efficiency Learning Center today. Consider this a teaser. What we're planning on doing is actually in March, having a soft launch just for the board to come and really get a chance to see the work that we've been doing in that room. We've been working really hard with the community to try and pull together what we think is a really comprehensive and exciting room for folks to come and learn about what we do with energy efficiency, learn about how they can reduce their impact on the environment. And I don't want to give away too much, but I do want to say that we've been developing interpretive displays in conjunction with the Marin Sanitary and also the Marin School of Environmental Leadership. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Marin School of Environmental Leadership. It's a charter school within a high school here in Marin, and they do really high quality work. We get some extremely, extremely competent interns, actually. One of the interns from the Marin School of Environmental Leadership has been taking the charge on the Learning Center, and it's just amazing what these fresh 17-year-old minds can come up with. They're really creative and really hardworking, and I'm really impressed with what they've been able to pull together. And I hope that you all have been doodling away in the meeting with your brand new coloring book. Pretty exciting, right? The coloring books were a really great idea, again, of our intern, a lady named Dahlia. And the idea is that we've actually made the coloring books so that they match not only this year's theme that we're planning on doing for the Energy Efficiency Learning Center, but the next few years as well. So we can continue to use the copy as we plan ahead for the future. And you'll notice this spiffy little owl called Spock, the single point of contact. Spock the owl is our new energy efficiency mascot. Both the coloring book and the mascot were prepared by a design firm called MIG, and we're just thrilled with the way they've come out. We think they're going to be really relatable, really cute, help to draw in families and children, and just be something that makes the program a little more relatable to folks in our service territory. So again, just to reiterate, we're planning on a soft launch in March. That will be for the board. More details will be coming out about that. Just a little event before the board meeting where you can come and see the displays. And we're going to invite the people who've been involved in bringing the room together so that they can really get some one-on-one time. And then we're planning on a larger launch for Earth Day. We're still working on the details of exactly what that's going to look like. We're trying to work with other community organizations who have Earth Day events planned so we can really sort of go along with those activities rather than trying to compete. So really excited about it. Definitely going to be a cool space. So we're going to shift gears into our 2016 application now. So one of the things that happened in the last couple of weeks, which is really positive, is that we got a pre-hearing conference scheduled for our application. So the good news about this is that it means that the commission is making forward action on the conference, on our application itself. The interesting news is that they noticed the pre-hearing conference not only in the service list associated with our application, so associated with our proceeding, but also in the larger energy efficiency service list. So to us, that indicates that they're inviting stakeholders across the state to come and have some input on some of the policy issues that we raised in the application, and possibly create some consolidation between the two proceedings. The good thing about this is that it allows us to draw in a larger group of stakeholders, some of whom have some alignment with us, it also allows us to really make the case to other emerging CCAs that they should be paying attention and getting engaged as well. Because to the extent that this gets wrapped into the larger EE proceeding, it likely will be more precedent setting than if it was just a decision made for our application. The downside of the possible consolidation in the main proceeding is that that proceeding is moving very slowly. Initially, they were supposed to be accepting business plans and applications from all administrators in the first quarter of this year. That's been pushed to September, and we've heard that it may be even longer. So I feel that we did the right thing in getting our application in now, sooner rather than later, so that we don't tie ourselves to that longer time frame. But there is the possibility that they may shunt it to that proceeding anyway. So we have a list of questions that have been provided that are policy questions that we will be responding to. We've also requested for other CCAs to engage. So we've been working with some of the other CCAs who we know are thinking about energy efficiency programs in the next couple of years to help educate them on the issues and get their voices heard. So if anybody has curiosity about that, then let me know. I'm happy to give you more detail. So the last and most exciting thing to talk about, I think, is independent of that pre-hearing conference, we assumed that folks would want to learn more about our application and didn't want to have to wait for the schedule, so we moved forward with setting up some workshops of our own. Next Thursday here in the Babashian Room, we'll be hosting a workshop open to the public and also on webcast. And that will be, and the exact same content will be presented February 4th at Richmond City Hall in an attempt to sort of get both sides of the day engaged. The content of those workshops will be focused on the actual application itself, on the proposal, on the nuts and bolts of how we propose to go about implementing such a large-scale expansion of our program, and really providing stakeholders an opportunity to come and ask us questions and dig in. We're really hoping this provides a chance for us to build some consensus on the record with stakeholders before we actually get into the record-making proceedings and where we're filing comments and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully it gives us an opportunity to have some good engagement. So that's my update for tonight.
Becky, first, kudos on your program.
Thank you.
I mean, it's been wonderful to watch you guys grow and how much it's become. What I'm curious about is knowing how really seen success and more so than what you expected. Do you have, now that we've got more cities and counties online, do we have any idea of where those energy programs are the most successful? Because I'm just curious, are we seeing the majority of the success in Richmond? What's the success like in Rowan County? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty evenly split. Our programs right now are so specifically targeted that it's not really a geographical area in terms of a city boundary. It tends to be more like composition of the neighborhood, right? Like our multifamily programs, it's building by building where there happens to be a large multifamily project that's taking place. But the small commercial programs, we tend to get more success in really focused, concentrated small commercial parks, like strip malls and areas like that. We've had somewhat of a less aggressive approach towards the newer communities, but this year we're looking to really ramp up our activities in some of those new communities, and I particularly expect some of the East Bay communities to have a lot of opportunity in the small commercial sector. So we're pretty excited about engaging with the San Pablo area, El Cerrito, and Benicia for sure. So,
That's excellent. I just have new forms in real estate, and it was interesting because all the new forms for the California Association of Realtors have now included lien items, PACE programs.
That's great.
And things like that, so that we can disclose directly to our clients, what happens if there's a PACE program on top of a property, what happens with the sale of that and the assessment of that charge. I guess I'm just curious about that too, about the disclosure of all these kind of programs. Do they go with what you're doing specifically? Because the energy efficiency seems to have ramped up quite a bit for realtors. So evidently we're seeing a lot more leased programs and lien programs, which are two specifically different things. But they are affecting the sales of real estate that they're trying to work within. So is there any kind of, in your energy efficiency, is there any kind of learning curve that goes to the real estate community?
The programs that we do right now are very much incentive-based. You pay a rebate to the participant to cover the upfront cost. as opposed to more of a financing structure or a leasing structure. There are programs like that out there, like the PACE programs or the Solar City programs that lease the solar panels on top of the roof. I would like to explore those latter types of programs in the future as we move into more sort of streamlined delivery models. I think that's a really interesting area to go in. I also think there's a lot of opportunity to engage the real estate community on communicating the value of energy efficiency. So this is something that probably as we ramp up more single-family program opportunities, there will be more relevance for. But currently there isn't a lot of engagement with the realtor community.
Okay. Thank you.
Kevin?
I just want to echo Denise's comments at the beginning of what she had to say to congratulate you on the terrific work that you've done. I think the program that you put together, and we've all had an opportunity to watch it over the last number of months, has been just spectacular. And you and your team deserve a great deal of credit for that and prospectively for keeping the momentum up as you go through the application proceeding. Which leads me to my question. As we're going through this kind of more expanded scope of a proceeding, what role, if any, do we expect PG&E to seek to play in that context? And do you think that may have implications for our success?
I definitely anticipate a role from PG&E and actually all the investor-owned utilities. Thus far, what they've done is suggest that our application should be held and considered on the same schedule as the rest of the administrators. Of course, we strategically filed early so that the direction could be given to them to work around us, so I'm sure they have an interest in making sure that it's at the same time. I expect the utilities, all of them, to throw everything they have at us in the process of this proceeding. So we're trying to sort of anticipate, prepare comments about our results, benchmark against those programs that they have out there. We're trying to work very actively with other stakeholders who are voices on the party, on the proceeding, so we can try to build a coalition around that. But I do anticipate a fight.
And any help and support that we can give you in participating in that fight, just let us know. We'll be there.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank you for acknowledging my team. I think if you look at that trajectory of savings, each time one of my staff members has come on, we've achieved a new milestone. So it's obviously the great staff we have here.
Would you email us a copy of that? I don't think it's in our packet.
Absolutely.
Anything else on this one? Okay, next item, communications. Yeah.
Well, I'm imagining by this time that you all have visited our MCEcleanenergy.org website in the last few weeks, and you probably noticed that it has a new look and feel. It's been updated and refreshed just to make sure that it's functioning at the highest capacity that it can. I wanted to show you a bunch of snapshots of the website, but you're going to have to look at it yourself because it's very difficult to see the writing on the screen, unfortunately. But it was great watching the board meeting live from my office just now from our website. So keep in mind that you're always on candid camera live now. And I invite you to look through the website. Let us know if you have any feedback about content. We are always updating it, so that's a fun activity for us. I want to let you all know that we do have advertisements, videos running in movie theaters throughout our service area right now. They launched in December and they're going to be running through the beginning of March. The video ad that we have playing is an overview about MCE and the programs that we offer. And the video is actually going to be airing 20,000 times during this period, so it's quite a bit. And some of you might have already gone out and seen Star Wars, maybe more than once. But we're really excited because some of our colleagues were out seeing Star Wars and the movie theater was completely packed and our ad played. And so we're really happy to be getting the messaging out there as well. The movie theaters that are playing our ads are in Napa, Corte Madera, Larkspur, Mill Valley, Richmond, San Rafael, and Sausalito. And then later on this year, we're going to be looking at a second campaign of advertisements at movie theaters in different cities and towns in our service area. We're all really excited right now about all of the local projects that are under development. It's really amazing. We've got the MCE Solar One, Cooley Quarry, Buck Institute, and cost plus solar projects that are under construction. So we're working on ways to publicize that to our communities and let them know. These pictures are actually of people at Richmond-Ville at our MCE Solar One site. And I wanted to show you a video that we have of our coulee quarry. So we actually have time-lapse cameras that are being placed at these development sites so that we can watch the construction over time. And this is one of the videos that shows where we're at with the coulee quarry so far.
Is that on the website?
It is, it's on the website, it's on the homepage. And I'm also happy to circulate a link to you if you're interested. Okay, life idea of what's going on with all the construction at our site. Super exciting. In the next few days, I'm also going to be sending out some highlights about all of the local projects that you all can reference as far as where they're all located, the size, how many jobs they're created, and all that fun information so that you can share with your constituents. I also wanted to let you know that we are going to be distributing the second version of our quarterly newsletter called The Resource. You will likely get an electronic copy of it next week, and we'll be distributing it to your cities and counties and towns later this month and in early February. So we'd love your help in distributing those and making sure they're out in your public offices so people who come in and visit can pick up copies. This is our winter version of the newsletter, and we'll be talking about our experience at COP21, all of the fantastic accomplishments of our energy efficiency program, and highlighting some of our deep green champions like Catanula Coffee in the city of Richmond. I don't have one of the bags here to show you, but I wanted to let you know that Catanula Coffee is a really popular cafe in the East Bay, not just in Richmond, and they recently got a special logo created for them that they put on all of their coffee bean bags, saying that they choose 100% renewable energy. So on one side of the bag, it's just completely highlighting the deep green. It's really great. So we're excited about that and replicating that kind of branding opportunity with our other deep green commercial customers. Any commercial customer who signs up for deep green can take advantage of those types of opportunities. I also want to let you know about our upcoming meetings, and we've got several coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'd love to have you all attend if any of you are interested. There's a variety of community meetings and also meetings at city councils throughout the East Bay and also in Napa to talk about MCE and possibilities for CCA joining or their own formation. And thanks to this lovely picture of Canaveva here, I'm going to show up a surprise photo of a director every time I show the meetings and events, so look out for your picture.
I don't have to worry.
And that's all I had. It was a really short presentation today. Cute little snail photo that our colleague Alexandra took when she was at the MLK Day of Service last week. So, anyway, thank you very much.
You
Oh, yes, do your
Nice,
question.
Kevin.
Again, thanks very much. That's really cool. And speaking of which, I just wondered whether this might be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about the Cool California outreach that some of us have been participating in.
Yes. We're so excited about what's going on with Cool California. I know that a couple of our directors recently volunteered to be in videos that are promoting Cool California. Kevin Harrop, I know that you are one of them. I know Barbara Kohler just recorded one and she's not here. And then Tom, but you just did as well?
I did one yesterday.
Oh, you did? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I'm so excited. I can't wait till they start rolling in. We'll definitely post them on our website and get them up on our social media. We'll probably show one of those at our next board meeting as well. We've got lots of tabling events promoting Cool California. As a reminder, actually, let me step back. Cool California is the program that, 9 of our communities, our MCE member communities, have decided to participate in. It's a competition among California cities, so it's only for cities and towns. Counties aren't eligible, who want to compete for energy savings within their communities. And the way that people are saving their energy, like the main method for doing that, is actually using the My Energy tool. So we're hoping that's part of the reason that we have more users creating action plans on the My Energy tool. And we've got lots of events coming up in, especially in Richmond, Benicia, El Cerrito, and San Pablo, that will be promoting the Cool California Challenge. Is there anything? Oh, I can also give you, an update about the top 3 of the participating MCE communities. Right now, the top 3 are El Cerrito, Benicia, and Fairfax. So keep the competition going.
Is El Cerrito still the only city council with 100% deep green?
Great question.
There you go.
Boom, dropping the mic.
I did notice that she mentioned El Cerrito first.
Any other questions? Yes, Denise.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank Justin Kudo for, because what I asked Dawn when we had our meeting, it was like, they had initially put out something to the board, stating it would be great if all board members were deep green. And so I said, what would be helpful is to know, what would we be paying more if we were deep green in our own homes? And so Justin did that for me, and it ended up being, and he did it over an average of 12 months, and we did a reconstruction and added on to our home for 5 months, so I know it'd probably be less. But even with that, it would be $8 more a month to go 100%. So George and I are going to sign up for it, and I would encourage anybody else on the board to do that, because I think it really, when you look at the long haul, it really is pretty insignificant to get to that 100% level on the grid. So I just wanted to thank him, because I think it's just, I said break it down to the ridiculous, because a lot of times it sounds like it's going to be such an incredible amount. It isn't that much more.
It's really not. I'll definitely pass that along to him.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we are to board member and staff matters. Anybody have a report? Greg?
Yeah, Tom and I both were at the League of Cities Environmental Policy Committee today, and I will say, Tom, after you left, that there were several comments about energy and the net metering, how unfair the net metering policies were, and how much the exit tariff is causing issues with CCAs, and I can say that the League of Cities is generally supportive of both North and South California is generally supportive of CCAs, and that there will be potentially, hopefully, taking up some discussion this year about the PCIA, or at least the idea of, they have a policy right now that says it should be fair, but potentially it's not as fair because it's a black box. Maybe it's not as fair as the League of Cities thinks it is. So hopefully that's something that they'll take up.
Fair. Anything else? Going once? Going twice?
We're adjourned.